Stop. Before you click away thinking this is another fantasy Atlantis video, let me tell you something that'll blow your mind. Everything you're about to see, every technology, every architectural technique, every piece of knowledge, has a basis in real archaeological discoveries. Not from 10,000 BC, but from civilizations we know existed. We're not claiming Atlantis was real. We're asking a different question. What if it was? It's 10,000 BC. The Ice Age is ending. Sea levels are 400 feet lower than today, exposing massive coastal plains that are now underwater. In 3 hours, I'm going to show you archaeological evidence that suggests advanced civilizations might have existed on these now submerged lands. But first, you need to see what one day might have looked like. The sun rises over a city that shouldn't exist. Not according to mainstream history, anyway. You're standing on a terrace overlooking the ocean, and the architecture around you is wrong. Too sophisticated, too planned, too advanced for people we're told we're just learning to farm. But here's what's fascinating. Every element you're seeing, the harbor engineering, the astronomical alignments, the social organization, appears in later civilizations. The Egyptians built it, the Minoans built it, the Indus Valley people built it. So why couldn't someone have built it earlier? The city stretches before you in geometric precision. Not random huts scattered across a landscape, but planned districts, wide avenues, public spaces. The kind of urban design that supposedly didn't exist for another 5,000 years. This isn't fantasy. This is informed speculation grounded in archaeological possibility. Because the more we discover about the deep past, the more we realize that primitive is a word that keeps needing revision. Gobekli Tepe wasn't supposed to exist at 9,600 BC, but it does. Underwater ruins off the coast of India weren't supposed to predate known civilizations, but they might. So for the next 12 minutes, suspend what you think you know. Not because I'm claiming Atlantis was real, but because real archaeology is revealing that the prehistoric world was far stranger and more advanced than we imagined. Let's begin.
The harbor stops you cold because you've seen this engineering before, just 8,000 years too late. Those breakwaters? Massive stones fitted together with precision that makes modern engineers scratch their heads. We know the Phoenicians built breakwaters like this around 2000 BC. We know the Romans perfected harbor design. But what you're looking at uses the same principles, which means either this is pure fantasy or someone figured it out much earlier and the knowledge was lost. Here's the archaeological evidence that makes this plausible. We know there were advanced seafaring cultures in the Ice Age. The Aboriginal Australians reached their continent 65,000 years ago by boat. Someone was sailing to Cyprus 12,000 years ago. We found their tools. The idea that people in 10,000 BC couldn't build sophisticated harbors? That's assumption, not evidence. The ships docked here would shock most historians. Sleek hulls, multiple sails, steering oars, cargo capacity for tons of goods. But again, why not? The Egyptians had sophisticated Nile vessels by 3000 BC. The Minoans had advanced ships by 2000 BC. Boat building is old technology, really old. We just keep discovering it's older than we thought. Watch the cargo being loaded. Obsidian from distant volcanic sources. We found 10,000-year-old obsidian trade networks. Shells from specific islands, proving maritime trade routes. Copper ore, because humans were using copper in Turkey by 9000 BC. Every item has archaeological precedent. The coordination is what's striking. Dozens of workers moving in synchronized operations, suggesting complex labor organization, management hierarchies, economic systems. We found evidence of this at Gobekli Tepe and Catalhoyuk. The harbor master's records, let's say kept on clay tokens, a system we know existed by 8000 BC in Mesopotamia. Not writing, necessarily, but accounting. And accounting systems predate writing by thousands of years. Could this have existed in 10,000 BC? Maybe we just haven't found the earliest evidence yet because it's underwater.
This is where things get genuinely mysterious, and where archaeology provides tantalizing hints. You're standing in what we'd call a library, except there are no books. Instead, the walls themselves are the records. Massive stone surfaces covered in carvings, astronomical observations, geometric patterns, what appear to be maps, mathematical ratios, cyclical calendars. Before you dismiss this as fantasy,
Consider, Gobekli Tepe has exactly this. Stone pillars covered in carvings we're still trying to decode. Astronomical alignments we're still discovering. Knowledge encoded in architecture that predates writing by 6,000 years. The people studying these carvings aren't reading in our sense. They're interpreting. They're memorizing. They're part of an oral tradition so sophisticated that they can recite thousands of lines about star movements, seasonal changes, and lunar cycles. This is knowledge that will one day become the foundation of astronomy. And we know this happened. The Aboriginal Australians maintained oral traditions with astronomical knowledge spanning over 10,000 years. Recently confirmed by archaeological evidence, the precision of their sky watching rivals modern measurements. If they could do it, why couldn't others? They're tracking the precession of the equinoxes, a 26,000-year cycle. Except we keep finding evidence they did. The Nabta Playa stone circle in Egypt, dated to 7000 BC, tracks this. Gobekli Tepe's alignments suggest this knowledge. Maybe it goes back even further. The geometric patterns aren't random. They're mathematical relationships, phi ratios, Pythagorean triples, geometric proofs. The Greeks will discover this mathematics in 2500 BC. But what if they're rediscovering it? What if this knowledge was known, lost in a catastrophe, and slowly recovered? Mainstream archaeology says no, there's no evidence. But the precision of Gobekli Tepe's construction requires sophisticated geometry. What you're seeing is possibility grounded in real discoveries that keep pushing back the dates for when humans got smart.
The market reveals something archaeology has only recently confirmed. Prehistoric trade networks were vast. That obsidian knife, sourced from a volcano 500 miles away. We found 10,000-year-old obsidian in archaeological sites hundreds of miles from any volcanic source. That's not casual trade. That's organized long-distance commerce. Those shells, from a specific island 3 days' voyage away. Archaeologists have found shells from particular coastlines in inland sites dating to this period, proving maritime trade routes and the knowledge to navigate them. That copper? Humans were using copper by 9000 BC in Anatolia. Not bronze yet, but copper. The metallurgical knowledge to smelt and work copper existed far earlier than most people realize. The diversity of goods tells you something crucial. This market is a hub. It's where trade routes converge. And trade routes require networks, trust systems, communication methods, standardized values. All the hallmarks of economic sophistication. Notice the organization. Different sections for different goods, food here, tools there, exotic materials in a separate area. This kind of market structure appears in every ancient civilization we've excavated, but it requires social organization and the concept of public space. The traders come from different places. You can tell by their appearance, their dress, their languages. Multiple cultures converging on a trading center. And we know this happened in prehistory. Catalhoyuk in Turkey shows evidence of people from diverse origins living together, trading, and exchanging ideas. The values being exchanged aren't arbitrary. There's a sense of standardization, certain shells worth certain amounts of obsidian. The proto-economics that will one day evolve into formal currency systems. Could a market this sophisticated exist in 10,000 BC? We keep finding earlier evidence. Gobekli Tepe required feeding hundreds of workers. That's an economic problem. That's an economic problem requiring sophisticated solutions. The question isn't, could this have existed? It's how much existed that we haven't discovered yet because it's underwater, or buried under 10,000 years of sediment.
The temple alignment is impossible to dismiss as coincidence. On the summer solstice, light passes through that opening and illuminates that specific carving. On the equinoxes, the shadow pattern changes. On the winter solstice, a different alignment activates. This level of precision requires generations of observation, mathematical calculation, and architectural skill. And we know it happened. New Grange in Ireland, built around 3200 BC, has a roof box. That allows sunlight to illuminate the chamber only at winter solstice sunrise. Stonehenge alignments are famous. Gobekli Tepe structures align with star positions. The question is, did this astronomical knowledge spring up suddenly 5,000 years ago? Or was it the culmination of thousands of years of prior observation? The priests here, let's call them that, aren't superstitious primitives. They're tracking celestial cycles with precision that would make modern astronomers respect them. The 18.6-year lunar cycle, the precession of the equinoxes, the synodic periods of planets, knowledge that shows up in later civilizations fully formed, suggesting it was inherited from somewhere. The carvings show the cosmos as these people understood it. Not primitive and wrong, but sophisticated and observational. They track star paths, predict eclipses, mark the changing seasons with accuracy critical for agriculture and navigation. Indigenous cultures around the world maintain this exact kind of astronomical knowledge through oral tradition. The Polynesians navigated the Pacific using star knowledge, passed down for generations. The Aboriginal Australians tracked stellar movements for 10,000 plus years. If you can pass knowledge orally with that precision, why not encode it in architecture? The rituals performed here aren't just religious, they are practical. Marking the times to plant, to harvest, to sail, to hunt. Sacred and practical knowledge intertwined, which is exactly how ancient societies operated. Could temples like this exist in 10,000 BC? Gobekli Tepe proves it. The astronomical knowledge clearly existed in later periods. Maybe the two connected earlier than we've discovered. The waves that eventually claimed this city would have erased the evidence, leaving only hints in later cultures who rebuilt what was lost.
As the sun sets, you see something that transcends archaeology and touches something deeper. People just living their lives. Families gather for evening meals. Children play games that will survive in various forms for 10,000 years. Elders tell stories that encode survival knowledge, history, morality. The oral tradition that kept human knowledge alive for 200,000 years before writing. This is what makes the lost so haunting. Not the architecture or the trade networks or the astronomical knowledge. The fact that these were real people, if any of this existed, with loves and fears and hopes for tomorrow. The domestic architecture shows sophistication we're only now appreciating in prehistoric cultures. Multi-room homes, hearths positioned for optimal heat and smoke control, storage systems, water management. The archaeological record shows that by 10,000 BC, people built permanent structures with considerable skill. The community gathering in the plaza isn't random. It's social cohesion, the glue that holds complex societies together. We see evidence of this at Gobekli Tepe and Catalhoyuk. Large gathering spaces suggesting community rituals, shared identity, collective decision-making. The children's laughter carries across the plaza. They're playing a game with rules, taking turns, cooperating, and competing. The social behaviors that every human culture develops. And they're doing it in a city that most archaeologists say shouldn't exist yet. But should it exist? The evidence keeps accumulating that we've underestimated our ancestors. Gobekli Tepe rewrote the timeline for monumental architecture. Catalhoyuk showed urban life existed far earlier than thought. Sites in Turkey reveal sophisticated tool-making going back 12,000 years. The elders passing down knowledge through stories. This is how astronomical observations survived. How agricultural knowledge spread. How metallurgical techniques were preserved. The human hard drive, running on memory and oral tradition. As night approaches, you know something they don't. You know that within decades or centuries, sea levels will rise. The Ice Age is ending, and 400 feet of ocean will claim the coastal plains where this city stands. Everything here will vanish beneath waves, its existence forgotten, until underwater archaeology begins finding anomalies that don't fit the accepted timeline.
Here's what we know happened, whether this specific city existed or not. Between 12,000 and 8,000 years ago, sea levels rose approximately 400 feet. This isn't speculation. It's geological fact confirmed by countless studies. Massive coastal plains that were dry land during the Ice Age are now hundreds of feet underwater. Any civilization that existed on those coastal plains, and we know humans lived near coasts because that's where resources were abundant, would have been completely submerged. The evidence would be underwater, covered by 10,000 years of sediment, requiring sophisticated sonar and underwater archaeology to discover.
And we're finding it. Not Atlantis specifically, but anomalies. Geometric patterns on seafloors off India, Japan, Cuba, and the Mediterranean. Some archaeologists argue these are too regular to be natural. Underwater structures that might be harbors, walls, foundations. The debate is controversial because underwater archaeology is difficult and expensive. The Yonaguni structures off Japan, natural or artificial? Experts disagree. The Gulf of Khumbat ruins off India, legitimate archaeological site or misidentified geology. The debate continues. The problem is, if advanced coastal civilizations existed 10,000 plus years ago, their remains would look exactly like these controversial underwater anomalies. Graham Hancock has spent decades arguing for this. Mainstream archaeology mostly dismisses him, but even mainstream archaeology keeps pushing back dates. Gobekli Tepe was impossible until it was found. Aboriginal Australian coastal sites 65,000 years old were thought impossible until discovered underwater. The truth is, we don't know what we don't know. 71% of Earth's surface is ocean. Most of the seafloor hasn't been mapped in detail. Did Atlantis exist as Plato described? Almost certainly not. But did sophisticated coastal civilizations exist only to be swallowed by rising seas? That's plausible. The waves claimed whatever secrets were there. Doggerland in the North Sea, a land bridge home to thousands until flooded 8,000 years ago. Sundaland in Southeast Asia, a massive submerged landmass where entire cultures lived. Every year, underwater archaeology reveals more about our submerged past. Our ancestors weren't primitive. They were as intelligent as us, just with different technology. Much of what they built might lie beneath the waves, waiting for future technology to rediscover. This wasn't Atlantis, but it could have been something. And that possibility is more fascinating than any myth. If you want to explore more lost civilizations and the real archaeology behind the legends, subscribe. History keeps revealing that the past was stranger than we imagined.